Hello everyone, I am Zerg's Lord Sentinel, and welcome back to Century of Economy 2019. The Spanish begin to load the trading port at Pride Rock with medicine. Almost every ship shown is carrying medicine and bound for the island. Some move actions later, and the stack of stored medicine is already taller than the rock on Pride Rock. Even more ships are on the way from the Medicine Island, mostly the new launches with full cargoes. From the west looking east, the Spanish fleet is massive in the early game, but almost all of the ships pictured are captainless. Only the San Cristobal and Crista del Obispo have captains on them, and of the two, the Obispo is the one that is optimized for a role as a gunship. That is, until now. The Spanish end their turn by launching El Garante with a captain, helmsman, cannoneer, musketeer, and firepot specialist from their home island. The Americans continue to gather lumber and finished goods. The Speedy Returner is becoming more of a headache than a help. With her double hulls, she is tricky to maneuver around Pyramid Island. In the background, the Atlanta makes for the North Sea and keeps an eye on the Lady's Scorn. With some extra actions, the Louisiana and Philadelphia have made land at Kanoke Island, which will soon be upgraded to a trading port. Speaking of upgrading, the Cursed Blade docks at the Shipwreck Pathway, which has already been upgraded to a town by the Neptune's Horde. Philippe Lafitte and Captain Rogers eye one another from their respective ships. Large pirate runners make for the Split Island and the food that can be found there, and possibly the finished goods as well. The Darkhawk II upgrades Tutorial Island with a military port, shutting down production of resources, but making a strong staging ground for the pirates in Voyanui Bay. The English spend some of their gold to launch the HMS Durham from Barbary Coast. The French are optimizing the ability of St. Pierre, sending the Matuku back and forth between the fort and the Flat-Top Island, which produces lumber. The French launched two ships at the end of their turn, the Argus from St. Pierre, and the Geograph, launched from the home island. The Spanish have stored ludicrous amounts of medicine at Pride Rock, which has no available docking space on the eastern side of the island, forcing ships to sail around to the western side. In the background, the Crista del Obispo circles a gold island. The Spanish have been builders instead of fighters, but this island is close to the pirates. The Garante sets out, making sail for Pride Rock, to reinforce the Obispo and increase security at the trading port. The Spanish Gold Fleet. In the background, some of the smaller ships are coming around the Archway Island after lapping it. A good chunk of total ships in play belong to the Spanish, and most of them are gold ships. The Cursed are slowly getting spices from the Hidden Cove Island, but have also benefited greatly from the gold found on Voyanui. With the pirates now controlling the bay, will they be able to gather any more gold from the island? The Fiddler's Green and Loa's Justice remain in the bay, trying to get a hold of the last untouched stash of treasure on the island. The Peak has also finally landed at the Grey Beach. In no time at all, the Americans have upgraded Kanohe Island to a trading port. Trading ports have no built-in defenses, which concerns the Americans, what with the pirates and Spanish reasonably close to them. The American gathering of finished goods has forced an unprecedented situation. I'm almost out of 6 coins. The Raven's Neck docks at the Grey Beach and opens fire on the Peak, in the first hostile shoot action of the game. The Neck misses twice, which will keep the Peak afloat for now. As a note, in addition to needing to hit a ship twice in the same shoot action to eliminate a mast, a derelict ship needs to be hit twice to sink it. To end their turn, the pirates launch Grand Barnacle with Explorer and Helmsman, Foresight with Explorer and Helmsman, the Destiny's Bounty from Return of Davy Jones with a helmsman, the Rover with a colonizer, Sea Nymph from Spanish Main with a captain, cannoneer, and musketeer, towing the Doom Box Flotilla. The English continue to gather food, the most valuable resource available. The lack of helmsmen on their ships is slowing down their efforts, however. The King Edward and Lady Provost load spices, while the London hovers, now with a captain. The French continue to go about their business, gathering what they can to increase their spending power. Flat Top Island sports a town upgrade and was almost upgraded to a trading port, but doing so would have removed the Motuku from the French fleet, something they do not want. Back home, the Vengeance and the Lion are launched, each with a captain so as to run as hybrid ships. The Spanish hoists depart their home island and make for the eastern portal. Pride Rock features a huge stash of medicine, while Archway features an enormous stash of metals. The Spanish have taken over the other side of Split Island, trying to get at the finished goods that side produces. However, they are hampered by the single beach that prevents more than one ship docking there. The amount of medicine tokens on Pride Rock forced the Spanish to make a second stack, so as to not have the coins falling all over the map. The Guisha navigates around the terrain to get to Hidden Cove Island. The Curse captured the Peak. The Fiddler's Green took her under tow and used an extra action to move into the whirlpool, bringing the Peak with her. Ships continue to jam up, creating congestion and traffic problems near the American home island. The Americans cashed in and spent almost all of their finished goods and launched a small squadron at the end of their turn from Kanohi Island. The Saratoga, from Rise of the Fiends, with a captain and helmsman. The Ghostwalker, with a captain, helmsman, cannoneer, and double shot. The Constitution, with a captain, helmsman, cannoneer, firepot specialist, and oarsman. The Freedom, with a captain, helmsman, cannoneer, and musketeer. USS Emerald, with a captain and helmsman. This squadron is tasked with one job, protecting Kanohi Island from any and all threats. Like the Cursed, the pirates are trying to get their hands on the last stash of treasure on Voyanui. Here, the Darkhawk 2 joins the Raven's Neck trying to find the gold. The Skipping Stone loses a mast as she sails over the reef on her way to Tutorial Island. The pirate colonizing fleet moves out under heavy escort. Just because the Spanish have few true gunships doesn't mean they will be friendly. Besides, the pirates are going to lay claim to an island the Spanish might want for themselves. Back at their home island, the pirates launch the Paradox and White Rose, both empty, and with a very specific purpose in mind. The Northern Sea is mostly barren compared to the south, but most of that can be attributed to low-value resources around the factions in the north, like the English. However, the English are not wanting for coin like the Cursed most likely are. They have quite a few pretty pennies on their home island, but have been conservative with their launches. Across the sea, the French have been doing better in the resource gathering department, but like the English have not launched fast or frequently. Now unwilling to build a trading port on Flat Top, the French turn their attention to the Triangle Island. Seeing the pirates coming, the Spanish form a wall with their ships, both in a defensive measure and in an attempt to get ships docked at the finished goods site of Split Island. The waters around the Spanish home island are clearing up, but only temporarily, since almost all ships are docked at or in the vicinity of Pride Rock. The Buscador and El Dorado line up to venture through the portal. The Spanish end their turn by launching the Alonso de Orozco from their colony fort. The Cursed explored Voyanui again and found the last stash of coins. The lowest justice loads everything, UTs and all. The pirates are envious and consider shooting at the Justice with the cannons of the Dead Man's Point and the Raven's Neck. The Cursed used chain towing and a fleet action to bring the Peak back to their home island and repair her. Deciding that the cove in the rear is too small, the Guishan and the Cursed decide to make a statement to the English by sailing her toward and around the front of the island so the Guishan can dock at the beach. The Kanohi squadron has gotten into position, forming a line against the pirates. For their concern, the pirates don't seem interested in Kanohi or being hostile. The pirate concerns are elsewhere, mainly on their colonizing squadron, with the first two ships making land at the island, under watchful eyes of the Spanish. Tensions were particularly high as the Destiny's Bounty deliberately sailed broadside of the Cristal del Obispo to dock at the island. It took a fleet action to make happen, but the pirates have found a working strategy for getting the food resource home quickly: chain exploring. The pirates were still on the fence about shooting at the lowest justice, but decided that it was not worth it to risk the wrath of the Cursed. The sun begins to set as the English continue to gather resources. The London has caught sight of the Guishan, emerging from the murky darkness into the light, like some foul creature that has emerged from its dark hiding spot under a rock. The French are cashing in resources the turn they are unloaded at home, giving them lots of gold to work with. La Belle Etoile loads the lumber that the Matuku has stashed at Saint Pierre. The French have plans and desires, but have not been able to effectively bring them to fruition. A storm narrowly misses the Foresight, causing the pirates to panic. With their cargoes of medicine now unloaded, the Spanish gold ships begin to load the metals that can be found on Pride Rock, while the Obispo keeps an eye on the pirate colonizers. Ships dock in numbers at Archway Island to load medicine, which will most likely be transported to Pride Rock. The Buscador and El Dorado have traveled across the sea to the western portal and aim south, with intent to construct a colony on the Gold Island just south of the portal. The English watch warily, and declare that the Spanish will receive an escort to their destination, whether they want it or not. The Guishan wows and impresses the Englishmen gathered around Hidden Cove Island. The Americans launched the Swift Victory with a helmsman, and the USS Spirit with a captain and helmsman, both from Fiend to the Blood Islands, and they purchase another town and port upgrade. The Raven's Neck takes the last treasure on Voyanui and the island is barren. Elsewhere, the pirates build a level 1 colony, laying claim to this particular gold island. The Caradoc sails away, while the London moves in for a closer look at the Guishan. The English are a turn or two away from a small windfall of gold. Hopefully they will start to be more of a presence in the game. With several ships unloading finished goods and cashing it in right away, the French have a small fortune of gold on their home island. However, they seem to not know what to do with it all. The Royal Louis makes the first trade of the game, trading a cargo of finished goods for the medicine that the island produces. La Geographe sails around the backside of Triangle Island, as the front beach is thoroughly occupied and partially blocked by a reef. At the end of their turn, the French launch the Début de l'Aventure with their ligne crew Anthony Roux and the Pharaon from St. Pierre, both from Pirates of the Dark Tides. In the south, a storm moves north and catches the Freedom, sinking her instantly. The first ship sunk in the game, though not due to combat. With the Atlanta and President aggressively blocking them, the Buscador and Eldorado turn around and jump into the whirlpool by the western portal. They emerge reasonably safe and sound from the whirlpool by the eastern portal, but frustrated. The Spanish finish their turn by launching, or berthing, the Squid Intermediaro from the trading port at Pride Rock. The lowest Justice's last haul from Voyanui included a Silver 2 and a sparkly Silver 4. The Guishan turns ghostly and uses a fleet action to sail away from Hidden Cove, leaving the English in mild awe. The Cursed spend some of their gold and launch the Pestilence from Fire and Steel, the Pale Moon, and the Celestin. The Kanohi squadron repositions to put some distance between them and the storm. This leaves the southern side of the island reasonably unguarded, but the Americans assume the presence of the storm will keep most intruders away. Meanwhile, the canoes string out, creating their own chain to get lumber back home quickly. Elsewhere, the Americans once again find that there are limited finished goods tokens available, and are scraping the bottom of the barrel. In the background, you can see the stern of the USS Spirit, who tails the Swift Victory on their journey to Pyramid Island. The Swift Victory and Spirit have taken a longer route around to the eastern side of the island, so as to not interfere with the gold runners. Here, the Swift Victory has used a fleet action to dock at the island, which will soon be upgraded with a town. The Atlanta and President survey the gold island just north of Pyramid Island in the North Sea. Knowing that the southern sea is crowded, the Americans make plans to expand north. At the end of their turn, the Americans begin to realize those plans, launching the Kentucky with Fleet Admiral Christian Pike and a helmsman, USS Superior with a navigator from Kanohi Island, and the Roanoke with a captain and helmsman, the USS Destiny with a colonizer, helmsman, and captain from their home island. The pirates used their chain to get a cargo of 5 food home in no time flat, though they had to move a crew around in the process. Havana Black takes the Rising Sun over a reef to get back to the pirate home island, which results in the loss of the sternmost mast. Using a fleet action, the pirates are able to upgrade their colony twice on their turn, taking it from level 1 to 3 instantly. Lafitte had taken the Gold Medusa into a fog bank, but heard the telltale signs of a storm, and so exited the fog to sail along the ocean's edge just south of the shipwreck pathway. The English slowly gather resources. In the background, the Durham has stopped at Fort Brompton to pick up a captain. The recent Spanish incursion has made the English take notice of other factions on the seas, in particular the Americans. The Pharaon and La Aventure both have large cargo holds, and have loaded the last of the lumber brought to St. Pierre by the Mituku. The French plans to acquire massive amounts of gold, and use it as a scare tactic to ward off any would-be threats. Conceptual threats like the power of gold may not scare everyone, however. The French have placed a town at Triangle Island, and it is soon to become a trading port. And that wraps up this report. A few factions are running away with the gold race, while some have not quite caught up. So far, no faction has declared open hostilities toward one another, despite the pirate attack of Le Pique. If you want to see what happens next, make sure you are subscribed. If you liked what you saw, hit that like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.